Hey, how you doing? If you're looking at me, you're going to see I don't look as good today because I don't have that ring light, which makes everything all better. Because Marky Mark knows the last time we had my ring light plugged in to all my computer stuff here, it just like sucked up too much juice and we had problems. And I didn't want to have problems with my special guest today because I like him a lot and I don't want to lose 1 second of what he's about to say. And you shouldn't lose a second hearing it either. How you doing? I'm Leslie Marshall, and today we have Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, the AAM. They're a partnership established by some of America's leading manufacturers and the United Steelworkers Union. Now, for over 16 years, Scott and the AAM have worked to make American manufacturing a top-of-mind issue for voters and our national leaders. And they've done it through effective advocacy, innovative research, a savvy PR strategy, and it's working because we see manufacturing jobs increasing. We see with passage of legislation with Joe Biden at helm in this administration and some bipartisan support from, it's usually between 12 and 19 Republicans, that, we have incentives for people to bring jobs back here, to create more jobs here, to have factories here and have more of those strong manufacturing jobs here. We are going to speak with him, but in the meantime, I want you, while you're listening on your computer, watching us, listening, go to @KeepItMadeInUSA on Twitter. That's the handle for the AAM. Follow them there and follow Scott @ScottPaul AAM. Holidays are upon us, and we got lots to talk about. We were just talking about U.S. made products. I just bought a U.S. made refrigerator, and but U.S. made, sometimes parts come from other places. It takes a time. Anyway, let's bring him on. Scott Paul is in the house. He's the man. Hi, Scott. How you doing? Thank you for joining us today. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Leslie. It's great to be with you. When you were talking about your ring light, all I was thinking about is like having one of those extension cords plugged into an extension cord, plugged into the USB stuff, and then there's.
So you've been under my desk. And that could go viral just for that little caption.
Like a lot like my desk. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I hate wires. Mark knows that. Mark knows I drop a lot of terrible swear words when I'm trying. Well, I'm plugging it. I can't find where it goes. Mark has to deal with this and be subjected to that. But yeah, I didn't want. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know I'll look better, but I'd rather hear you and see you and have everybody see and hear us. Holiday time is upon us. I, like a lot of people, get frustrated at my options as a consumer for buying, but then I look at the lists that you guys provide, all the information that's out there. You guys at AAM are a plethora of information with your 2022 Made in America Holiday Gift Guide. I've been using your gift guide for as long as you've had a gift guide, I think. So let's talk about this. And this isn't just something that I want, and this isn't something we're pushing. This is what polls show 3/4 of American consumers would prefer. 3/4 of American consumers would prefer to purchase holiday gifts that are made right here in the United States. A third, well, they say they rarely or never see American-made products while shopping. So it's not they don't want them. They don't feel they have choice in those products, right? And that's a new poll. It was released from you guys, the Alliance of American Manufacturing, as you launched this year's 2022 Made in America Holiday Gift Guide. Scott, first, before we talk about, products and we break down this poll, why do you think that is? I mean, because this crosses party lines. Regardless of somebody's politics, Americans go, hey, I want my stuff made here. I want to contribute to the people here at home.
Yeah, it's a great question, Leslie. And the wonderful thing about Made in America is that there's a lot of paths to getting there. For some people, it's about patriotism. For others, it's about sustainability. For others, it's about localization, right? If it's American made, it's locally made too, right? And for others, it's about supporting good working conditions. For others, it's about quality and prestige, and others, who particularly folks who live in factory towns realize that supporting their neighbors is going to come back to them as well in the community.
And you'll get it quicker.
Yeah, and not to mention,
it's not going to be stuck in on the long boat from China.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, the supply chain issues have brought that into focus. So there's a lot of paths to getting to support Made in America, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things that is rare in American discourse. It's a universal truth. Everybody likes the idea of American made, and as we know, uh, consumers want to see more. They want to see more made in America products available to them.
Did you also find in your poll that they not just want to see more, but they want more accessibility to those products?
Yeah,
Like they want them in the large retailers. If somebody's going into a Target or a Macy's or a Big Lots, wherever they're shopping, at the mall, right? They want one and done. They park their car, they want to go in, do all the stores and come out. They don't want to have to necessarily go online or go to that boutique store that's not in the mall, or not
right.
even go to the boutique store in the mall because they can park on the edge of the mall, just go into the big large retailer, go in and get everything. They want that product there as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely right. And in fact, only like 15% of consumers, so just very, very few, say they see a lot of American-made products when they shop, whether that's online or in person. And so that is a tiny number. That means 85% of us basically don't see a lot of American-made products, and there's that hunger for it. And so there are some pretty savvy retailers and producers who have caught on to this, I think. But there's also these tides of like fast fashion, right? And that you see on TikTok, or the latest greatest gadget, and all of that electronics production is made overseas. And so there's in some ways we're swimming against the tide. So it does. So we want to see more of it, but the folks who control the system don't provide that. Whether it's Amazon or Walmart or the producers of this, we're seeing some hopeful signs, I think, of some realignment there, but it hadn't caught up with where consumers would like to see it.
Your poll didn't just talk about what consumers want, but who they blame, right? 43%, they say this is the reason, this is who they blame for not seeing more American-made products when they are shopping. Who are they blaming, and what are where's the blame going? Your poll shows major corporations and moving production overseas. And a lot of these factory towns, like you said, saw their jobs go there as well.
Yeah.
So there's still anger, and rightly so. My brother worked in the semiconductor business for years, and not anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I think that's what folks have seen, is that they've seen jobs get shipped overseas if they don't happen to live in a factory town. They've heard about it, or they inherently know that's the case when they see the label and turn it over and see made in China or another country. And so it's and I want to say this, Leslie. This is not about like nostalgia. This is not like going to the past here. This is really about what kind of a future do we want to see, especially if we are. I mean, I think a lot of people are into localization, whether it's like craft beers or local wineries or farm to table restaurants or farmers markets or all of that stuff. There seems to be a lot of interest in that, but that hasn't gotten up to the retail scale the way in which it should be. But there are some very successful companies who do make their products right here, and they're doing very, very well, Leslie.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the annual guide the AAM releases of American-made gift ideas. And one of the things that I like is this online tool not only gives you a variety of ideas and things that are made here in the United States, but made locally where you are. You can find a local product, or you can find something that's made throughout the United States. We're going to talk about that right in a minute. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Scott Paul. And, like I said, during the break, check out the Alliance for American Manufacturing on Twitter. And you've got to check out the 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide. It's free to view. All you got to do is go to, and we'll post this on all our social media sites as well, so you can just click, especially if you're driving right now and you're listening and you can't write it down, tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. That's tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. It has helped me to be a better consumer in supporting local mom and pop made right here in the USA. Check that out. Do some shopping. We'll be back right after this.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey sis, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1907. That was the day an explosion rocked Fairmont Coal Company's number 6 and number 8 coal mines in Monaga, West Virginia, killing 367 miners. Newspaper reports estimated the number of dead to be as high as 500. It is considered the worst mine disaster in the history of the United States. Most miners were killed instantly, as the explosion destroyed the mine entrance and its ventilation system. Those not killed instantly suffocated from poisonous gas. Earth tremors were felt 8 miles away. The force of the explosion buckled pavement, collapsed buildings, and derailed streetcars. More than 3,200 miners had died in 1907. There were 3 more mine disasters before the end of the year. The last month became known as Black December. In January, a coroner's jury verdict ruled that a blowout shot ignited coal dust and made a number of recommendations for safer practices. But David McIntyre tells a different story in his history of the disaster. He argues that the tipple had a design flaw that led to occasional coal car derailments as they exited the mine. And on this day, there had been a derailment with coal cars crashing at the bottom of the shaft and taking out the electrical and ventilation systems with it, igniting the coal dust in the process. The disaster generated a surge in demands for greater mine safety, leading to the creation of the Bureau of Mines in 1910. The Bureau could conduct research and safety training, but were powerless to conduct inspections or safety enforcement. Miners would continue to fight for the better part of the century for safety regulations and enforcement. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com.
We are back. I'm Leslie Marshall. He is Scott Paul, and he is president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We're talking with him about the 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide. It's free for you to view. Check this out, tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. You want to do Christmas shopping, you want to support American businesses and American workers, then you can be a consumer that's going to have better goods, better quality, made right here at home. Be patriotic, support the country, and support those whether they're corporations that make goods here or they're smaller businesses, those small mom and pop family owned businesses that make goods here. Let's support them. Let's not support China this holiday season. By the way, China's not supporting us. They have a big push. We'll talk about that. 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide. Check it out. tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. We're going to continue talking about the gift guide. I have so many things that I want to talk about, Scott. Thank you for holding and welcome back. This poll shows that 8 in 10 adults, 79%, almost 80%, believe online retailers should be required to include a country of origin label for products like in-person retailers do. I think this is a great idea. We have a right to know where things come from that we are buying, and we can do it in person. Why can't we do it online? It's one sentence or 3 words, made in wherever it's made.
Yeah. And exactly, Leslie. It should be super simple because a physical product, once it shows up, has to have that label on it. It has to have a country of origin label on it that says made in the USA or made in China or made elsewhere. That is a requirement under the law. And so, unfortunately, a lot of people shop digitally now and they depend on information. And what gets me, and this is true no matter where you shop, is that there will be this extraordinary amount of detail about a product, like what are the dimensions,
yes,
the fit like, what colors are available, what fabric,
reviews,
all of this stuff, reviews, but you oftentimes don't see anything about where it's made.
Right.
and that is intentionally because of what we were talking about before the break, is that people want to see made in America. And if it says, made in China or something like that, they may be a little less likely to purchase the product. And so these retailers will mask it and that, it shows up and you're like, oh, okay, well, this was made somewhere, it's harder to return, right? And so it's just not, people don't
almost impossible sometimes.
People don't go through the hassle of that. And so it is this is a requirement that is not in the law, but that a bipartisan group of senators, members of Congress, want to put into the law, led by Senator Tammy Baldwin.
You read my mind. I was going to say there is legislation. It's bipartisan, and it would fix these labeling laws because they're very outdated.
Yeah. It's like, when you consider how often you shop, there's a lot of people who shop from their apps or their smartphones, who shop from their computers now, and who aren't necessarily going in to the retail store. And so they can't see that physical label. And so having that information, particularly, again, since in almost every case I've ever experienced, there is so much description about a product that they're intentionally leaving it out because every other detail about that product is in there, except for where it's made. So, and it's changed that. Time to change.
And that's what consumers want. I mean, according to the survey that you guys put out at the AAM, here are the top 3 major reasons shoppers want to buy American made. 72% say it can boost the U.S. economy. 58% says it creates American jobs. 57% says it supports small businesses. Those are win-win-win reasons. Just one of those reasons is good enough to do it. By the way, those, I would say number 2 and 3 are the biggest ones for me. I mean, I don't think about supporting the economy, but in creating jobs and helping small businesses, it's a positive residual effect of that. So let's talk about some of the highlights from the AAM's 2022 Made in America Holiday Gift Guide. And if you're just tuning in, the way you can get to that, to check out products made in America before you do your shopping, be mindful of this. We don't want to support China and Taiwan. And I'm not saying we don't want to support these people, but we want to support our people, our workers, our industries, our businesses, large and small. Go to tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. That's tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. And if you're driving, you can get it not just on my Twitter page at Leslie Marshall. You can get it on the AAM's Twitter page at Keep It Made in USA, on Scott's Twitter page at Scott Paul AAM, or I should say feed, but it is your page, And in addition to that, we'll have it on our Facebook page, on LinkedIn. We'll have it everywhere that you can see things from us. Once again, go to tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. And it's free. Okay, so let's talk about some places up in the Northeast. Mystic, Connecticut, one of my favorite places. They have great lobster, second to Maine in my opinion, and they have beautiful beluga whales at the aquarium. I grew up in the Northeast, and driving from New York home to Boston, or between Boston and Providence, I would often stop in Connecticut. I remember my husband and I were dating, and he was living in New York. I took him home, with me for the weekend to see my mom, and we stopped in Mystic, lovely town. So tell us about Mystic Knotwork.
Yeah, it's a cool story. And for those of you, I mean, obviously you know it, but for those of you who don't, Mystic is this very quaint, old seaport, tiny seaport in Connecticut. And it has a long, centuries long history of both shipbuilding and also seafaring. And so there's been a family who for generations have made some of the knot work that you see, jewelry made out of knots and other things made out of nautical knots. And yeah, they have a shop right there in the main, very close to the, where an old velvet factory was. And there's a lot of small shops there, but they, it's a great story. And they have, if you're into the nautical knot bracelets and what have you, that is the place to get it from, because it's authentic.
Yes.
And this family has been at it for like 4 or 5 generations. It's just extraordinary.
Right. And Mystic's not far from a Navy town, and where they make a lot of what we have in our Navy. Greenwich, Connecticut. Let's go to the Midwest in Indiana, Elkhart, Indiana. And you featured this in a gift guide a few years ago, but we're going to take a break. And when we come back, you're going to tell us about Carved. I had a chance to check out these websites before we had you on today, and I like all of them. My favorite's coming up, though. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this America buying gift guide. But, the U.S. made holiday gifts here in the United States, 2022 Made in America Holiday Gift Guide. Please check it out right now. Go to, and it's free, okay, tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. Pick up a gift that's different, unique, made in America, support American jobs and American businesses, large and small. Back with Scott Paul, back with you right after this.
Follow Leslie on Twitter. Just go to www.twitter.com/Leslie Marshall, and we'll be sure to share your tweets.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
This country needs highway signs on every interstate to caution the public about an extreme danger that lies ahead. Warning, geniuses at work. The danger comes from multi-billionaire capitalists who proclaim themselves the crypto-meta wonderkinds of high tech. They say their class of high-wealth geniuses are the ones to save civilization. Among these saviors is Elon Musk, who's so brilliant he's on the verge of losing the $44 billion he stupidly paid for his egomaniacal takeover of Twitter. A colossal business blunder that, in a plutocratic panic, he compounded by impetuously firing half of Twitter's employees. Granted that civilization could use a good dose of smarts, given our acceleration of climate change, spread of inequality, etc., but Elon Musk? Forget savior. His scheme for saving, quote, the future of our species is to promote an elite cult of uber-rich pronatalists. They smugly assert that their enormous wealth is derived from their equally enormous IQs, making them the ones to seize control of human evolution. How? By having large herds of babies, each of which would be certified as genetically superior humans, qualified to rule society. They actually see themselves as heroic for being willing to sacrifice their sperm and eggs for civilization, replicating themselves as much as possible. Indeed, each member is urged to pop out 8 to 14 babies in their lifetimes. Musk already has had 10 by 3 women. Each child is then raised in the cult's elitist doctrine, requiring them to produce their own large litters of little Elons. In just a few generations, they calculate, this mass breeding of elites will create enough rich geniuses to rule over society and save civilization. This is Jim Hightower saying, but who will save us from them?
And we're back. I'm Leslie Marshall. I'm talking with Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, about the 2022 AM Made in America gift guide, free to view at tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. That's tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. We're talking about and highlighting and putting a spotlight on some of those companies in some of those states throughout our great nation. In the Midwest, we were talking about Indiana, and we just started to talk about Carved in Elkhart, Indiana. Tell us about that, Scott.
Yeah, I have one right here that's kind of blurry, but Carved makes iPhone covers, right? There's no iPhones that are made in the United States. There's no smartphones that are made in the United States, but it makes these really cool covers for iPhones and other types of phones that are this extraordinary art, and they're handmade. These guys started this company up. It's a great story, and they're really successful because they have these beautiful designs and durable. And I've had mine for a couple of years, and it's worked super well. But it's you can't buy a lot of gadgets that are made in the USA, as we know. But at least this is supporting something in that ecosystem, and this company is some really, really beautiful and durable designs for folks out there.
One of my favorites coming up right now is in Minnesota. It's a Gold Paw series. The products from this company, I just think they're cute, and a lot of people are very much into their pets and making sure their pets are as comfortable and warm as we are in the winter. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's well, in Minnesota, even the dogs get cold, and so Gold Paw has these cute as the dickens sweaters and fleeces and blankets and related products for dogs of every size, and some are plaid and kind of Scotch flannel, and some are plain, and you can get them customized. And even Leslie, in LA for sweater season, dogs need sweaters, right? And so this is like the
But these are
They're,
great gifts. I mean, this
they're
is
so darn,
truly,
yeah.
this is truly what a gift's about because it's not something somebody would necessarily buy for themselves. You know what I mean? And you know, if you don't know what to get a relative, if you get something for their dog, it's a win-win, right? You know?
100%, and it's just they're so cool. I mean, I could spend all day just looking at the dogs on the website, and
I'm with you. That's why it's one of my favorites. It's
yeah,
just it's so cute, and the items are cute. Yeah, check it out. By the way, on the website, you know, at AAM, you can just click, you know, when you get, you know, a link to the company, and that just makes the shopping so much easier, so much quicker. In Ohio, this is a company I bought a lot from when my kids were younger. It's called Simplay 3. And if anybody out there has little tykes or step 2 or had it, which I certainly had plenty of them in my backyard, they were easy to clean. They were durable. They didn't break. And believe me, with my son, that you know, my son and daughter, but especially my son, that wasn't easy. And this is in Ohio, correct?
yeah, yeah. It's a Tom Murdaugh is the name of the designer of first Little Tykes, and now Simplay 3. And yeah, I mean, we had Little Tykes when our boys were young, and I know that in our neighborhood, they got passed down to like 4 or 5 different, you know, sets of kids as they aged out of them, and they were still going strong. It's amazing. But the Simplay 3, they have water tables, they have other things for kids. But Tom Murdaugh, they make all these products in Ohio. He was inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame, and yeah, this is the latest iteration, and they're so great, and especially Leslie, when we want to get kids away from the screens for a little bit.
Yes,
having that interactive play.
Yes.
That Simplay 3 is irreplaceable, and
They have a lot of creative things. I used stuff with, they had a thing with sand, and then we had a thing with water, and then just a thing they climb, and then a thing that you have shapes. So it's, you know, it's very good for learning. Let's go to Utah. Lifetime. Now, I didn't know about this company, and I wish I had, because my son plays sports, and one of them was basketball. And as he grows, the hoop has to. And they hold the first patent for an adjustable basketball pole on the market. Tell us about Lifetime in Utah.
Yeah, so Lifetime makes a lot of different products, and actually it's a mass market company. You can find some of this at stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, Costco, Walmart from time to time. It's that big of a brand, which is nice to see, right? Now, they don't make 100% of the stuff in the United States, and some of it is with imported materials, but a lot of it is made there. And yeah, we have the adjustable basketball that my son could dunk on, you know, when he was younger, and we've gradually raised it up to 10 feet, and it's great. But yeah, if you have kids who've played hoops, you've probably seen Lifetime as an option. And the great thing about it, again, is that it is durable.
Yes.
Unlike some of the other stuff that's out there, and it can withstand blizzards and wind and rain and all sorts of wear. And again, if you need an outdoor table or other outdoor furniture, they have that stuff as well. And it's just a great brand, and a company that has grown right there, made in Utah.
In Virginia, something I have in my purse, something my kids have in their backpacks, chapstick. And a lot of us use it, not just in the winter. You know, out here in LA, it gets kind of dry because it's the desert. You know, it has so many different things. They have their, you know, SPF formula, they have their tinted, you know, more moisturizing. I mean, they've really come a long way from like the one option when I was a little kid back in the day. Tell us about chapstick. They are produced in Virginia.
Yeah, I was, and this was kind of cool because one of our stakeholders is the United Steelworkers Union. I know you know them well, Leslie. And so first of all, I had no idea where chapstick was made. I couldn't have guessed. And so, yeah, it's made, you know, down in Richmond, Virginia. And I had no idea that it was steelworker made, which is pretty great. But you're supporting union jobs when you're buying chapstick, and when you're getting that lip protection and hydration as well. So it's a win-win. And you know, it's a stocking stuffer that everybody needs. I mean, everybody needs chapstick, and so
especially if you go like I do I go to Boston to see my family at Christmas.
Yeah.
My kids, I just got my son a winter coat because he's grown again, you know, and you know, he doesn't need it, you know, here in LA. I need it. It gets cold in LA. And let's go to lastly, Wisconsin. These gifts are very unique. This is a perfect gift. This is perfect for people that you work with. And these are the Ben Shot shot glasses. They're just really creative with the various shot glasses they have there at Ben Shot in Wisconsin.
Yeah, these shot glasses look like they could be in an art museum. I mean, they have all sorts of things embedded into the side, like a golf ball or a propeller or a bullet or what have you. And they're handmade in a rural community in Wisconsin. And the great thing about this is that there was a Chinese company that tried to knock these off, okay, and get Ben Shot out of the market. And Ben Shot fought back in the courts, won, and got a multi-million-dollar settlement from these knockoffs. But it's a great company, and when you see these and how creative they are, you're like, yeah, it's a conversation piece. And there's, if you're into if you're into sports, or if you're into supporting our first responders, or lots of other different causes, they have something for everybody, and it's really, really cool, innovative designs that you really won't find anywhere else.
No, I totally agree. And I've seen a lot of shot glasses in my life. Let's go to, and yeah, I want you to go to tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. That's tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. You can get the gifts there. You should buy American, support American businesses. And let's talk about somebody who does, and that's our president. President Joe Biden is planning to visit a semiconductor plant. Thank you. That's under construction in Arizona. Not thank you for the visit. Thank you for the fact there's a semiconductor plant under construction. So let's talk about the president being in Phoenix to visit this plant. Why does this matter?
Yeah. So we all remember what was happening with supply chains, like with cars and stuff. You couldn't get them because there were semiconductors that were missing, because all the semiconductor production was overseas. More threatened than ever now, in part because of some of China's actions. So Congress passed this bill, the CHIPS Act, to get some of this back to the United States. And we've seen a massive number of semiconductor factories announced all over the country, from New York to Indiana to Ohio to Nevada to Arizona to Idaho to Texas. And so the fact that this $52 billion that Congress has done for loan guarantees and other sorts of awards to build semiconductor factories, here's the thing. This TMSC, or Taiwan Semiconductor, TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, that's building this factory in Arizona, is investing like $40 billion there. And again, that's just one instance. So you have this $52 billion public investment that's being leveraged all over the country, and it's going to make our supply chains better and create jobs. What a win-win.
It is a win-win. I love that, create jobs. I love hearing that. Speaking of, help keep people in their jobs. Buy American. Check out the 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide. Go to tinyurl.com/2020 AAM. Back after this.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. We show up differently, worship differently, and have found new ways to express our love and support to family and friends. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back into the things we miss most, like spreading the word without spreading concern, girls tripping instead of solo sipping, brunching instead of late night munching, and talking smack with a side of mac and cheese. It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines.
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Is it safe?
Can I trust it?
What about pre-existing conditions?
Now get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
"911, what's your emergency?"
America's healthcare system is broken and people are dying.
Welcome to Code WAC, where we shine a light on America's callous healthcare system, how it hurts us, and what we can do about it. I'm your host, Brenda Gazar. This time on Code WAC, how are Medicare Advantage plans riskier than traditional Medicare? And how are such plans affecting the shrinking Medicare Trust Fund? To find out, we spoke to Dr. Ed Weisbart, a retired family physician, former chief medical officer of Express Scripts, and a national board member of Physicians for a National Health Program.
Don't be tricked. That's probably the most important thing, is that, there's these very attractive ads on TV and, countless pieces of direct mail that we're all getting. And they don't even necessarily say they're Medicare Advantage. They'll just say, look, you can get these extra things with Medicare. Look at the extra benefits. All you have to do is sign up here. And you may not even know that what you're looking at is what we've been talking about. When somebody wants to give you something for nothing, they're probably tricking you. And that's the case with this. So the first thing is to, if you get one of those brochures in the mail, or if you see one of the ads on TV promoting Medicare Advantage, know that you're giving up the most precious, wonderful insurance in the entire country. You don't want to give up traditional Medicare. It's the only insurance I know of where you can go to almost every doctor and hospital anywhere in the country. And if you buy a supplement with virtually no copays and coinsurance and no financial risk, you can just think about your health. So the one thing I want people to really know, don't be deceived by Medicare Advantage plans.
The full Code WAC story on progressivevoices.com and on the PV app. Catch all our episodes by subscribing to Code WAC wherever you find your podcast. This podcast is powered by Heal California, a nonprofit that uplifts the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. Until next time, stay healthy.
We are back. I'm Leslie Marshall. If you want to check out that 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide, it's free to view. Go to tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. You'll find about products made in the USA, support local businesses, large and small, keep Americans at their jobs or get more Americans hired. If they have to make more, they have to hire more. Let's keep the jobs here. Let's keep the manufacturing here and the production of these goods. And let's keep quality in our shopping carts. And you're not going to get that for that buy, 3 T-shirts for $10 made in China junk. Let's go back to Scott Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. Now, I just said the bad word, China, made in China. Scott, this is funny. It's a true story. I was reading a piece in The Hill called "It's Time to Revoke China's Normalized Trade Relations." I read it. It was very interesting because China is not my forte to speak about necessarily. And I learn a lot from people that write about it and know about it. And when I finished reading it, I saw it was written by you. So I want to talk about it. The piece is on The Hill. You can check out The Hill. I also, believe I have retweeted it after I read it. It's called "It's Time to Revoke China's Normalized Trade Relations." And a bipartisan majority of Congress, you write, normalized trade relations with China 22 years ago in 2000, and its advocates sold the deal to the American public like it was an obvious choice. And this is what Bill Clinton said, quote, "If we do this 20 years from now, we will wonder why we ever had a serious debate about it." And that was at Silicon Valley to entrepreneurs. And he said, quote, "If we don't do it 20 years from now, we'll still be kicking ourselves for being so dumb." Now we're kicking ourselves for being so dumb. Would you agree?
Yeah, it was. I think that Clinton was right in a way, but for the wrong reason. So it was. It was. And I remember because I lived through this debate. I was working for working people at the time, trying to defeat this proposition, and we were mocked for opposing this, like standing in the way of progress. Well, of course. this is going to make China more democratic and it's going to be a win-win and all of this other, nonsense that was being spewed. And I want to make it clear. I harbor no ill will towards Chinese people, and this isn't about picking a fight with Chinese people. This is about picking a fight with the Chinese government, which does have a lot to answer for, both in the treatment of its own people and in the way in which it's managed its economy in a way that hurts us. And unfortunately, through that decision that we made 22 years ago of normalizing trade relations, we enabled this. We enabled companies to go there, and of course, they were eager to go there, and that continued for a long time. And so, there's a lot of folks who are complicit in all of this. And I was pleased because this, finding a way to kind of unwind this special tariff rate that we give to China has been on my mind for a long time. And I was glad that a group of experts that's been appointed by congressional leaders, both Republicans and Democrats. So there are folks that Mitch McConnell appointed on this commission. There are folks that Nancy Pelosi appointed, said that, yeah, it's time to revoke this normal trade relations that were granted China 22 years ago, assuming, they'll go through a review, and has China lived up to its commitments? No. The answer is emphatically no, it hasn't.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things impressed upon me when you wrote this, you wrote, quote, "The ruling Chinese Communist Party has turned inward, away from the promised economic reform and liberalization that it never seriously attempted in the first place." It's almost like, sidebar, when we have a conversation about COVID, where did it really come from? Did it really come from that lab in Wuhan? Let's be honest, we will never know. And we will never know because this is Chinese Communist Party ruled China's MO. They make promises that they don't keep. They never were serious about the promises they made in the first place. In other words, we can't trust them. It's China. We couldn't trust them then. We can't trust them now. Not just with COVID and Wuhan, but obviously with this. With not just trade, but with reformation to their economy, and that definitely touches upon the world economy, obviously, and liberalization, and then of course the human rights abuses. The list goes on.
Yeah, that's right. And I want to be clear. I want to see China succeed. I want to see China to continue to build up its middle class. I hope its citizens have a voice in government. I hope that its production becomes cleaner, certainly from a carbon perspective. But what we have to stop is this wishful thinking that somehow China is going to magically change its behavior when we have 22 years of evidence that it will not under any circumstance do that. And so it's the obligation, I think, of our lawmakers to clean up the mess that their predecessors made. And some of them are still in office. Actually, Nancy Pelosi voted the right way on China, PNTR 22 years. She voted, did not want to give China a blank check, and she was 100% right about that. But I think it's something that you could find folks like, Marco Rubio to agree with Democratic senators on. Right. So I would hope that there's that possibility of getting that done, in the new Congress. And one of the few things that we can do that will help level the playing field for American workers when we're really, really seeing some progress in manufacturing now and in manufacturing jobs. And I just hate to see that get washed away by some action that the Chinese government would do that would help corporations ship more jobs overseas from the United States.
Now, before Thanksgiving, the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission was going to be reviewing China's adherence to the commitments that was made back then, as you mentioned. I'm not asking you to go to Vegas on this, but do you think they will find China has not been compliant, that they are out of compliance with that agreement, the original agreement?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that China's been out of compliance for a long time with all of this. And it's not just me saying this, it's the review commission. Right. Anytime our U.S. trade ambassador has looked at this, whether it was Ambassador Lighthizer in the Trump administration or Ambassador Tai in this administration, they say the same thing. I think that even think tanks that support more trade with China would be forced to say, no, China's not meeting its commitments. Now, they may disagree with taking away the trade status, but even they can't disagree that China hasn't met its commitments on this. And so yeah, I think it's time to call a spade, and to set course. And the impact that this will have, Leslie, is that it will create more diversity in supply chains, more reshoring to the United States. And we already, like, I saw breaking news over the last 24 hours that Apple's looking at pulling its production out of China, and that is a huge deal. So
yeah, they should. So if the commission finds China to be out of compliance, which we know they clearly are, will the trade relations have to be suspended based on those findings, or is that something that the commission can choose to do, or is that like a mandatory happening that trade relations have to be suspended because they're out of compliance? If that's what the finding is.
That's a great question. And so the process right now is that Congress would have to pass a bill to revoke normal trade relations with China. And so it would reset our tariff rates. Now, mind you, we already have some tariffs on Chinese product, right? Those were put on place in the last administration, but this is for all Chinese products that are covered by tariffs. And so that tariff rate would go up from virtually nothing to a little more substantial. And it would also permit China, like if China's making progress, that you could review that tariff status and bring it back down again. So it's both a carrot and a stick. But right now we have a blank check, and that's the wrong thing to do. So I would.
And China probably, because this has been going on for over 2 decades, probably is like, hey, they haven't noticed.
That's right. That's right. Or no one's willing to do anything about it. I think that's I think that's exactly right, Leslie. And so I do think that that if Kevin McCarthy said that the Republicans in the House want to look at China, I think this is an issue for them to look at. I mean, yeah, they can look at the lab or whatever, fine. But this is going to make a real difference for the American economy, for our future moving forward.
Absolutely. Scott, always a pleasure to have you on. I want to remind people once again, if you're looking for holiday gifts and you want to support American-made products by Americans working here, American business owners, whether they're a small business owner, the mom and pop place, or even big companies. There are some big American-owned and operated companies here, producers of goods, American-made goods here. The 2022 AAM Made in America gift guide is free for you to view. Go to tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. That's tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. You can also find it by following Scott and the AAM on Twitter. On Twitter, follow AAM at Keep It Made in USA and follow Scott at Scott Paul AAM. Once again, free. View at tinyurl.com/2022 AAM. Buy something different and unique, made in America by Americans. Support our economy, our workers, our business owners, big and small. I'm Leslie Marshall. Scott, thank you for being with us. I love this guide. Thank you for doing this every year.
Hey, right back to you, Leslie. Thank you for having me on.